G'day and welcome to another edition of BGA Golf Goss. I'm Christian. We've got Keen here.
Hey.
And we have a special guest today, 1960s Wayne. He's blasted into the future. Come in with that funky shirt. Welcome, 60s Wayno. How are you?
You're showing your age, Wayno. You are.
Hey,
I ripped you last week and now you're wearing that.
when I get my special sponsorship deal with Golf Gods, you'll all be in it. This is one of my great. Hey, I've got a set of these I can break out. So you wait for the next couple of episodes.
We love it.
Wait till the monkeys come out.
We'll call you Disco Wayne for this episode. Got any special moves for our viewers out there or platforms on?
Please don't. We've got more viewership, not less.
Remember, I'm old. I might put my hip out.
Platforms, flares, we welcome it all. Bring it on. All right, we got plenty to talk about, guys. What do you guys got on your agenda today?
Well, a couple of cool, quick things. As Christian knows, I'm a bit of a gamer. So in these COVID times, the only golf we've been getting has been on the computer or on the Xbox, not the PlayStation. That's for 12-year-olds. But there's 2K have actually announced they're bringing out a new version of their golf game. So it's supposed to be 14th of May. They're releasing some more details. So that'll be interesting. So their golf game's good, but let's just hope they can take it up to the next level. So that'll be pretty cool. Yeah.
I've seen there's a few other groups going around there doing actual on PS4, sorry, Wayne, challenges where they're doing, I think you got to play 4 rounds or something like that within a week and then submit your scores and otherwise. So there's a few things out there for the gamers. I know there's a lot of people that don't want a bar of PlayStation or PS4 otherwise, but for those that do love it, should be good, this 21 2K.
Yeah, so it's coming out. So, and the other thing that's of interest too is they've got the TaylorMade driver relief coming out, which is Sunday week, I think, the 17th.
That's DJ and Rory.
DJ, Rory, Rickie Fowler, and
Matty Wolf.
Wolf. Is he the Wiggle guy?
Yep.
Yeah, the Wiggle guy. Yeah.
So you got the Wiggle guy and Disco Wayne. That makes for a hell of a combo.
And it's Orange Man as well, isn't it?
They're playing in some 2-person format, so it's two against 2. So I would still, one of my ultimate, and I'd love to see. I know, not a purist game, but the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup. I would love to see those guys, like 2 of those guys, play a 2-person scramble or an Ambrose. I reckon it'd just be some awesome golf. Like, just imagine DJ and Rory in a team, smashing the absolute bejeebers out of it, trying to outdrive each other in a team. That'd be awesome to watch. So
isn't it the US that they play in a 2-man? Is it 2-man 4-ball or 2-man Ambrose?
2-ball best ball.
Best ball, is it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, same as President Cup and Ryder Cup. So yeah.
So, Keno, what's your thoughts with Rickie playing in the TaylorMade? I mean, I used to work for Cobra Puma and know how much Rickie is a Cobra Puma man, but now he's playing in a TaylorMade event because he uses their golf ball.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see someone that's been sponsored by a different supplier and manufacturer, go and do this. And look, this is a charity event, of course. And I don't know how many people out there have watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan in it. But there's a clip in there, and I'm going to spoil it for someone if you're not up to speed. So I'm going to spoil this. Spoiler alert, right? I'm telling you what's going to happen. But in episodes, we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jordan played in the Dream Team, and it was the first time the professionals could play in the Olympics. And the Dream Team or the US team was sponsored by Reebok back then.
Well, hang on, they actually rallied the professionals to play because the US just got their ass kicked.
That's right. So anyway, they talked about how the team was sponsored by Reebok back then, and obviously, as we know, Jordan, is Nike, and they said that he had to wear the Reebok US team tracksuit to get his gold medal, and he goes, "There's no way that that the Reebok logo is to be seen on me." So what he did was he draped a US flag over the top of his, jacket to cover up the logo, which was quite smart, I thought. And it makes sense now because he was one of the only few that had the jacket drape or the flag draped over, and I was wondering why. But yeah, now it makes sense of why he's done it. So look, as I said, I mean, the Rickie thing's a charity thing, so but it's just interesting that you'd get someone, and you know, they could have Jason Day, but maybe Jason Day's in Australia, I'm not sure, but they could have got another TaylorMade brand ambassador to, you know, take that spot.
I wonder whether they'll actually make Rickie, you know, cover up some of, you know, like his Puma sponsorship, whether they'll actually not let him use that bag. They might come out with a special bag for, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the full
Yeah.
but it might just be TaylorMade throwing the cash up for it. So, you know, they're not really too fussed about, but we're not going to know. When it happens, we'll see what goes on.
And to be fair, Rickie is sponsored. Rickie does use the ball, so he's sponsored to use a ball. So yeah.
No, but I know that when he, even prior to using the TaylorMade ball, he was using, because Cobra Puma's never had a ball, right? So he used the Titleist ball and glove prior to TaylorMade ball and glove deal. And then we would always get the ads where he was in the Titleist ball ad wearing his Puma gear. So we loved it because it was like free publicity for the brand, for our core segments anyway. But they still held him as an ambassador for the brand, and I guess they're doing the same thing here. So interesting, because he is so pro Puma, or as they say in Europe, Puma, but he'll be representing TaylorMade on this event.
But money talks.
It does. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, though, boys, was just why we love the game. There's obviously a lot going around, and I've seen a lot of frustration from golfers with the lockdown, especially in Victoria, not being able to play. But it takes you back to, you know, why do people get frustrated so much about it? And I think it comes back to why they love the game and why they love getting out there. So I start with you, Wayno. What makes you love golf so much and be such an enthusiast?
Well, I suppose I didn't start playing golf until I was about 18. I actually had one of the coaches who's back at Ballarat now, Andrew Cartledge, actually got me into it, and it was.
Hey, isn't that 70 years ago, Wayno?
Right, and now I've lost my train of thought. So yeah, I was probably a little bit of a late boomer to actually, late got into the golf, but I was involved prior to that in a lot of team sports. I played soccer, and I was full forward in the Forest Street grade 6 primary school team with Tony Lockett in the forward pocket, because I was actually taller than him. So, but we'll just leave that alone. Yeah, so it was a game that I probably still do. It's a game that I enjoy because it's an individual game, and you get out of it what you put into it. Like, I know if I go over there and practice, I can go out there on a Saturday and I can feel my swing in a much better position. I can feel, better putting and things like that. But, on the other side of things too is just the aspect of, it's a great social game. Like, I love getting out there playing with mates. I love, we at our course, we play units, which is, basically betting on everything that moves. That, and it's just fun. It's just enjoyable, and like, who can knock back on a golf trip? Like, golf trips are just great times that you get to go and play golf, have a bit of fun with everybody, and So look, just overall, it's a great sport. And as I said, I'm not one to sort of step back. I've always been one who's jumped in, and that's why I'm in that position of president at the moment. I love putting into something where you can see, that it's improving and things are getting bigger and better and things like that. So yeah, so that's probably my love of the sport. Yeah.
And Keno, obviously you've been in and around, worked in the industry, played a lot of golf through your time. What makes you love this industry and this game so much in particular?
Yeah, I think I've played it for about 23 years now, since I was 1 then. No, and it's funny because I'm probably not as passionate about the game like you two. I've got a bit of a love-hate relationship with the game. Played a lot of it when I was growing up, and sort of started at sort of 12, 13, and played a lot of golf, a lot of junior golf, a lot of competitive golf. Looked at even doing a traineeship, and now unfortunately it's become where for me, and a bit like what you said, Wayne, it's about the mates, and it's about going and playing with people that I know, and that's it for me now. Unfortunately, working in the industry, and when you play with people that you don't know, they want to talk about golf for the whole round, right? And rightly so, because it's their passion. They love the game. Where for me, I just want to be able to turn off and talk about the footy or something totally, completely different. So yeah, for me, like I said, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship at the moment. If I play, great. If I don't, that's fine. It's always part of me, and being part of what we do, I guess it's always, I'm going to always have a connection with golf. And it's not even a time thing for me. I've just lost a bit of that passion and that burn for it. One thing I am passionate about is snowboarding. I really enjoy that, but being in WA and in Perth, it's very hard to go snowboarding here.
Great snowfields there, mate.
You know, every chance that I get, snowboarding's on my mind where I can get to. But yeah, so golf's one, like Wayne just said, it's a great way to connect with your friends. A lot of my mates now play that they didn't before. They used to play a lot of team sports, basketball, cricket, football, whatnot. And now they're turning to golf because I think we're at that age now where, we can be seen as golfers. So, and that's been fantastic. That's, it's our connection and it's a good way to catch up. So, that's it for me, mate. And what about yourself, Christian?
I was the same. So I don't like to mention this because I get hand crap on all the time, but played badminton for Australia up until I was about 23, 24. And then sort of just looking to find another sport. I played it. So we.
What a soft sport.
Isn't it a sport where they all turn up and they all throw their keys in a bowl? And
happy to put you both on a court and throw a smash at you while you stand at the front. See a couple of black eyes come out after that.
Just remember how old you are now, mate.
Yeah. So no, I only got into golf about 25, 26 through a couple of mates. And when I first started, really couldn't play all that well. Probably playing to a standard of about 20 something. But straight away felt that it was that individual challenge. It's really you versus you. So as much as you can get on the course and play with your mates, and that is definitely a great element about it. It's a game where you challenge yourself against yourself. You know what you're capable of, but can you repeat that, over and over? And then how do you get to that next level? And, to our last episode, getting somebody that gives you the right direction and instruction that really helps you move from double digit golfer down into your teens, down into your single figures. That in itself is an awesome journey of growth and development for yourself. But I've always been in a pretty high-end job, if you like, where, you can't always, it's not easy to go and talk to somebody about what's happening in business or otherwise. You really got to think it through yourself. And just being able to be on the golf course sometimes by myself, I'd love to go and just play 9 holes to clear my head and just think through what was going on. And I know for a lot of people out there, and golf is a great mental health outlet, again, for myself as well, where if you've got a lot of things going on in your life or otherwise, you either have that escape in time where you have that camaraderie with your mates and you just have a laugh and a good time, or you're out there by yourself just clearing your head, thinking through what's going on, and then I know you feel better for it afterwards. And I think that's why a lot of people miss golf as that outlet, either with mates or for themselves to get that stimulation. I know, Wayne, you and I, mental health is something that's, very close to our hearts for personal reasons. And we'll plan to do some episodes where we talk about golf as a connection to mental health and how we can utilize that as a pathway to help others around us. But again, for me personally, I just love that individual one-on-one challenge against yourself every time. And you can then apply that to playing against your mates. Like Wayne said, having a bet and a bit of a gamble. And I know that last time I was in Ballarat, I took out the cash on the Friday Arvo, so that was great. Happy to do that anytime you like.
You're still $2.5 grand down, so don't worry.
So yeah, no, there's a lot of reasons I love this game, and for the industry side, again, helping the golf pros and just they're the guys that are unrecognized and unrewarded. We talked in our last episode with Dave about the time and the effort and the energy he puts in as a golf professional. And I think that they get lost as the core and the heart of our game, and certainly the core of membership and club, helping people improve their game. So there's so many reasons that I'm passionate about this game, both from a participation and an industry standpoint.
Yeah, that's good. It's real good.
And hopefully, for our mental health, hopefully maybe next Monday. If Dan the man lets us out, we might be all back out playing golf next week. Well,
yeah, I haven't been too critical initially. I think it may in some ways required, you could say, to lock down everything and get a greater understanding of COVID-19 and what's going on. And that's just my opinion. There's a million other probably more educated opinions than mine. But I think we're at a point now where we've seen in other states where they are playing golf that it hasn't caused an impact on spread or otherwise. I think it's time to let us out there and play again. And again, it's not just about, I want to play golf. This is a lot of people that have jobs. There's a lot of livelihoods at stake through the golf industry. There's a lot of mental health reasons as to why it should be opened up. And just that connection piece. Exercise, for a lot of people, it's their only form, especially elder people. There are a lot of older people that play golf. That's a reality. And for them, golf is their only form of exercise. And now they're not able to do that. So, I think there's a lot of reasons, and it's time to open back up again. But then about you guys, what do you think about Victoria's position and how that differs from the rest of the country?
Well, I give kudos to Dan for that. He's actually stood his ground, and I know he's been a lot of pressure. Not just talking for golf, I'm talking things in general. And I'm married to a school teacher, and for the other places and like the national, the federal education guy to come out and basically say that, kids should be back, kids won't catch the disease. Well, it's not the kids that are the problem, it's actually the teachers. So I've given him a lot of kudos for things like that he's stuck his ground and actually said that. I know, Christian, you're probably against what I'm saying here because you've been homeschooling for the last however many weeks. But I'm hopeful that we're going to probably see that early, that next week we should actually see and be back out on the course. I know our course we've gone through this week. We've had quite a lot of meetings, virtual meetings in regards to coming up with our policy of how we're actually going to integrate it all back in, because we're going to go, we have to follow the Golf Australia regulations, which is like, 2 players per group, 10-minute intervals, flags don't come out, bunkers, no rakes in bunkers, all those little bits and pieces. And so it's a matter of doing the right thing, to cover protect the golfer, but we also have to protect the staff at the clubs as well. And they're the people who have to be there on a day-to-day basis, monitoring and administration of, getting those people on the course and on and off the course and things like that. So, so it'll be interesting times.
And we're a little bit different here. It's interesting, Wayne, that you're saying that you're playing in 2 balls and 10-minute intervals and stuff like that, because some of our clubs here and some of our courses are going back to 4 ball now. Yeah, playing 4s, right? Yep. Where we've gone through what you've gone through. Yep. And it would be an interesting discussion from this and from obviously what we're going to learn from the virus is that how golf will change, and will it change from this? There was something that came up the other day, is should we be playing in 2 balls because we can get around in 3 hours? Is that a good idea? So that leads into a different topic. And I know, what we said, Wayne, we're out there, we want to enjoy it with our mates, and enjoy it with one person's nice. And Christian just talked about being on the golf course himself, right? But I'm a bit like you. I like having people around and like socialising and like, hanging crap on people. Yeah. And it's hard to do in a 2 ball. But, the time aspect as well. I mean, if you can get around in 3 hours, how good's that? I mean, it gets your golf kick, your golf fix, doesn't it? So how does that evolve a golf club, and how does that change it?
Well, I think this is a great discussion point, and probably talks to the challenge of the industry and kind of highlights it. The biggest challenge that you have in any business, even with staff or otherwise, is when you have a lot of different people with a different want, right? So we look at, on a broader scale, look at our country. A lot of people want different things in the way that we do things and live our lives. And golf's no different, where you've got the guy that loves the club mentality. They love being at the club. They love the traditional aspect. They love the purist aspect. But then there's the financial aspect. But then on the other side, you've got golfers that like to just squeeze in around when they can because they're time poor. They want to just play by themselves and get around in 3 hours, or play with that one regular guy every time and get around in 3 hours again. So, those are different golfers with different wants and needs. So how do we accommodate that? And I guess the question was, do they have time slots in each week where they do allow two balls and allow those people to have that access. What do we think?
But see, every club allows someone to go in a group of two. There's no, oh, sorry, I shouldn't say every club. There probably is some limitations, but I know, like, out of competition time, you can go out there to our course and play in a two whenever you like. The issue is that you're playing in a two, but you've got groups of fours in front of you, so you don't get that, that quickness of play where you're able to get round, as Kean said, in 3 hours. You're basically still limited to the time that the guy in front of you is going to play. So, the only really solution would be is a club that come up with that might have, let's say 1 day a week or 2 days a week that they actually just isolate and make the timesheet for groups of twos. You have to do it for the whole course. You just can't do it for a small group and go from there. But it's what the take up would be. Who knows how many people will take it up? But it'll be interesting to see. Once we get back into it now, how it's actually going to the effect's going to be.
Yeah.
So,
definitely. Because I know over here from speaking to the clubs over here, when they're on two balls, they're full. Like the timesheet would come out at 7 p.m. and by 7:03 you couldn't get a slot.
Yeah, exactly right.
I've got friends at clubs complaining, going, "Geez, these old boys are pretty quick. They get us get onto it, and there's nothing left for them." So we talk about that mental aspect, and they're out, and we've been fortunate in WA where I think majority shut down for a week and a bit, and that was it. And they're all up and running now. So it's about now sort of what we can learn from that experience.
Yeah.
And we know people have complained about slow play and stuff, but is there a way to quicken it up? And Wayne, you might be right. Maybe if comp is Tuesday, Thursday, well, you can play full ball in the afternoon, but you have to play twos in the morning, so people can still play the comp, get around in 3 hours, and get on with what they need to for the day, instead of like you said, have two balls out there or three balls out there and four balls out there, and then you're sort of stuck and you have to move at the pace of the field, I guess.
Exactly.
And for our audience out there, we'd love you to leave your comments below. Let us know what you think, whether it's a good idea, bad idea, or if you have any other ideas. We've talked about how we can speed up the game. Maybe it is some 2-ball 9-hole or 2-ball 6-hole comps that starts coming to fruition. Is it just having comp but having access to 2-ball that will allow more golfers to get on more regularly and help bring, I guess, the average age of membership down within golf clubs? So I'd love to hear your thoughts. On to the next topic is our new toys of the week. What do we got for the new toy of the week, guys?
Well, I haven't been out, so I haven't got any new toys. I don't know about you guys, but there's been a couple of interesting products that have been released in the last couple of weeks. Titleist have just released the T400s. Well, they haven't just released. It was actually supposed to be released on early March, but due to the COVID, it all got delayed and all those bits and pieces. So you'll probably see it as things free up. They'll probably start coming out. But it's an interesting iron. It's basically, for those who know both of the brands, it's very much the same as a TaylorMade P790. So it's I suppose a cavity back, but it has an enclosed back, and then they use a foam to actually fill the head. I actually had P790s, my previous clubs, which were great clubs. I've now gone to T100s. But so it's interesting that this is now the 5th iron that Titleist have in their range. So they've got T100s, the T100S, which is the same as a 100, but at a little bit stronger loft. The T200s, 300s, which are both cavities, and they've now released this T400. So you probably, I suppose, back in your old Cobra days, mate, you in the R&D side of things, how do they go about sort of trying to cover? I suppose what they're trying to do here is cover the mass market.
Yeah, definitely. Look, there seem to be the I'll call it out, the culprits at times that have too much product in club, and this is why it is very difficult for pro shop operators to really have that stock. It's not like golf clubs are a cheap product. They're more expensive now even than what they were 3-4 years ago with the currency changes we've had in the last 5 years in Australia. But trying to hold 5 irons across every brand, it just becomes ridiculous. So really, you're trying to cover 3 key segments: the pro golfer, the avid golfer, and game improvement. The reality is the pro golfer is a very small market. You're talking about your Blade there. And so you're probably going to have blades in your fitting kit because you're always going to custom fit it, but there's no need to put it on the shelf. So then really you just want to cover your avid golfer and game improvement. But then, now we're getting to a point where we have 2-3 sets of irons per brand for each of those segments. I totally respect the R&D. It takes a long time. You're probably looking at about a 2-year process from inception to bring to market a golf club. So we traditionally would go to the PGA show in January, talk about what was coming and talk about the initial concepts for the next lineup of product. And you're looking at about 2 years from there with game improvement or the T400. It's interesting. It's still the same sort of philosophy, getting that cavity back, getting the tungsten weights right in the heel and toe to provide a bit more forgiveness of the face, dampen or give more, I guess, softness in the feel off the face. So they're still working and playing with the same materials on the same things. So there's only so much, really that you can do. I think that for the golfer, it's really important to get fitted now more than ever because there is so much choice and variety, and those little intricacies could mean the difference between it being the right and the wrong club for you. So club and shaft is critical. I would say, Ken, you can probably back me up from your Drummond. I mean, you pretty much created the Drummond My Match system and obviously been in golf with fitting for a long time. I would say shaft is more important than the head.
Yeah, definitely. I think shaft plays a really big part in the whole fit itself. I'm a believer of shaft. I believe that if you can find a really good shaft to match with a golfer, because the reason why I say that is because the driver head's maxed out, right? So it can only trampoline so much. It can only be a certain size. There's only so much you can do with it, right? So then it depends on what else can be put towards the club. And we talked about ball before. Ball plays a big part in getting ball fitted. I believe you should get ball fitted, and the other one's getting the right shaft for you and making sure that shaft performs for you, because shafts do many things. They can send the ball higher and make the ball spin more, or they can send the ball lower and spin less. So that's one thing that I think, as part of the fitting, any good fitter will take you through as well. And one of the points, Christian, that you said, it takes about 2 years to develop a golf club. And I don't know if you've heard it, but you know how when they say that let's say the iPhone 12 is coming out at the end of this year, have they already designed iPhone 14? Is that already in the works, and are they doing that already? And as you're sort of saying, is this one where they go, when technology catches up and when we can get the materials right and the cost comes down, we will do X, Y, Z with it. But because we can't, it's not mass marketed at the moment, we can't afford to do that, because if we do, the iPhone will be $3,000 instead of $1,000. Right? So it's just one of those where it needs to sort of catch up, where it allows you to do that. You hear, what was it, when the original iPhone came out, right? If that was done, 2 or 3 years before that, it would have been thousands. Yeah. But because technology caught up with what they were trying to do, it made it more affordable. So is
that we are still in both, in the metals, you're still dealing with the same titanium, carbon fiber, etc. There's no new materials that have come to the market. USGA regulations doesn't really permit you to explore too much. You're bound within the confines of what they'll allow on tour and in the rules of the game. From an iron standpoint, again, tungsten and then the other materials that are being used are still quite similar. When I say the head, the shaft is the most important thing. You still got to get the right head. You can't be playing a blade when you really should be using a super game improvement type head. So still go through that process for the golfers out there listening, but certainly getting that. And then, how much is the new product really going to make a difference compared to maybe product that's 2 or 3 years old? I'd say as a golfer, get your loft and lie check. If you've been improving your game or changing your game, just check in with your golf pro, make sure that shaft is still right. Make sure your loft and lie is still right based on your swing plane. Get those adjusted as a first point of call. And then maybe every, 2 or 3 years, just check in to see whether technologies come out that might actually help your game to a different level.
Cool.
All right, backyard setup. We had, I saw this one on Instagram, so I reached out to the guy that posted it and he was happy for us to share it. So thanks for that. But we've been showing some pretty extravagant setups as far as doing a whole layout and creating space in your backyard. This one was just a way that you could easily create a backyard setup. Yes, all right, he's got a swimming pool. We don't all have that. But there's ways that you can just grab a couple of mats and do something creative. So I love this one where he's just got his chipping mat and he's created a little island green, if you like. Yeah. We're not all like you. I'll get there one day. But he put a little chipping mat down and an island green in his swimming pool, which he was chipping towards. I thought that was pretty cool.
No, that's a very good one. I like it.
And for anyone else, you can just get a mat and a net or whatever it might be, or just makeshift, get a bucket. And then you can try and get a bit funky from there. I saw one actually in Thomas Bjorn, I think it was, a European tour. They got him to do a home lesson and he was trying to hit a ball off his balcony and ended up smashing his window. So that was great.
Lots of cool mistake ones have been put up online.
Yeah, so
would you have loved to have been the only? I saw a meme come out the other day that said the people who created the coronavirus were golf net manufacturers.
Of course they were.
Hey, but isn't it interesting? I mean, we had obviously Dave Wallace from Ballarat Golf Club, the professional out there before, and we asked him about any home tips, and Dave just said, keep stretching.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting, isn't it? Like, instead of working on a technique or anything, he just said, keep stretching and keep mobile and take a break. And by the time you get back, hopefully you'll play some good golf. So that was an interesting. I thought it was quite interesting when he said that.
Well, mate, that's interesting. You keep hanging shit on me because how old I am, but yes.
You are old, so I'm not lying here.
Yeah.
I'm just stating a fact, Wayne.
But I am. When I was younger, the lowest I ever got to handicap was 9. Now I'm 54.
Don't lie. Keep going.
I'm 54.
Don't lie to my audience, Wayne.
53, and I'm
not
nearly
subscribe 54. If you keep lying like that.
And I still want to, practice is always good, but one of the best things that I've done is I actually do Pilates quite regularly, and it's been, it's just that being able to keep my body.
Do you wear that shirt?
In a functional, in this shirt, yeah. In a functional way, it's made it, because I always because I work sitting down right here all the time, and I always had a bad back. So, it's really given me a lot more. It's been so much, more beneficial to my golf and my life in general. It's been fantastic. So I can't speak about, doing that stretching, lots of stuff.
It is true. And you look at, first of all, the golfers now, they're all doing a lot more in the gym. I think that squashed that age-old argument of, doing gym and getting muscle to play golf. I think you can see the athleticism of golfers today proves that doing that, I guess, off the course or non-golf club type exercise helps your game as a whole. I know, yes, you teased me about badminton, but when I got to the VIS, I had Chinese coaches previously, and they'd always load you up with weights, and you'd be doing lunges with 120 kilos on your back. And I got to the VIS, they said you're off weights for a year. We're going to fix you.
Mate. You're not carrying 120 kilos on your back. What a liar! This guy thinks he can. This guy thinks he can carry 120 kilos on his back.
It had a point just after the one.
Yeah.
Hey, the boys at Puma used to call my calves cows. So there you go. No, they took me off the weights and they made me do Pilates, and they made me do a lot of the yoga type exercises, Pilates machine exercises for about 12 months, and actually felt stronger and better with my game and my physical well-being. So there's definitely a lot in that. So
wasn't it Phil that did Pilates or stretching or something and grew? Because his disc was so compressed, they said. Did you hear that?
No. Phil Mickelson.
Yeah, we'll find it. There was an article that said that he actually grew because of just the way his body's compressed and his spine's compressed. That he did a lot of stretching and Pilates and all that, and he started hitting the ball further as well.
That's it. I'm definitely doing it now.
All right. So before we go, any golf stories this week?
I think Wayne, you've got one.
Well, it was actually Cairns' golf story this week, but his golf in general is a joke, so we'll just leave it at that.
Correct. No stories, mate. My golf game's a whole story, so you don't want to bore our viewers of that.
Dave, who we spoke to in our last episode, we've done played a lot of golf together. And for This was 3 years ago. So every 2 years we go over and play the Vanuatu Open. And if anyone wants a great event, it is the best time you'll ever have. So basically there's about 40 professionals, 45 professionals play, and the rest of the field's open to amateurs. So there's normally probably 140, 150 amateurs. After they finish the event, they have this massive big party. The 3 years ago, the major sponsor was Tusker, which is their local beer. And their local beer doesn't have any preservatives in it, so you can just drink, and wake up the next morning, you feel fine. And it was just laid on. So the two pros, Dave and also Darren and myself, got absolutely smashed. And the girls were there. Eventually, they got us into a cab, into a bus, took us back home. And Big Dave, now, you probably didn't actually, for those who don't know, Dave probably don't know how big it is, but Dave's probably 6'4", 6'2", probably 6'4", and probably 120 kegs. He's probably drunk 120 kegs. But Dave's a big boy, and the funniest thing was Dave got out of the bus, put his carry bag over his back, and the house that we rented had a driveway that was like this, and got out of the bus, took 1, 2, 3 steps, and then just went bang onto his side, and then rolled back down with the carry bag on his back down in the gutter. And his poor wife had to pick him up. So yeah. But anyway, as I said, Vanuatu, it's a great. I know we tried to get Christian there last time, but it's a beautiful place and a great tournament. So yeah,
I'll be there next year. I'll be there.
Very good.
For anyone else out there, again, if you want to send in videos of your funny stories or just comments, send them below. We're happy to share them. Like our friend on Instagram this week with his backyard setup. We also encourage everyone to join the Club BGA group page for a bit of a chat and banter on golf, all things golf in general. So sign up to that. But thanks for your time this week again, boys. And we'll see you again next week.
No worries. Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.